Drone footage. The 59th Brigade destroys column of military vehicles as Russian troops retreat. Video footage shared online this week shows Ukrainian forces putting up a fight in annexed Kherson Oblast, with Russian positions being repeatedly struck by missiles as soldiers fire shots at the Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs. The video, which contains multiple clips of a Russian position in Kherson Oblast, appears to have been recorded by rotary blade UAVs. It shows Russian military vehicles and howitzers being struck by Ukrainian ammunition and Russian soldiers hiding and fleeing as the strikes occur. The video was initially shared on the Ground Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine official Facebook page, accompanied by a caption that reveals the attacks were the work of the 59th Motorized Brigade. Another video shared by the 59th Motorized Brigade offers a closer, ground-level look at the conflict in Kherson. The brigade used captured Russian equipment to assemble an anti-tank assault on Russian positions in the region, claiming to have used an MT-12 Raptor anti-tank gun fitted to an MT-LB Army tractor. The video shows Ukrainian vehicles traversing a rural landscape in Kherson before stopping, firing at a Russian position, and then unloading more than a dozen armed foot soldiers. Victory is not easy. How is the return of our land? At what cost is every piece of it won back? Action from our soldiers from the front line. Don't forget who made your city quiet. A caption accompanying the post reads, Britain's Ministry of Defense claimed on Thursday that the situation in Kherson was so bad for Russian forces that most troops were retreating from the region. In an intelligence update, the British ministry said that Ukrainian forces were making significant gains in southeastern Ukraine and have started a new phase of offensive operations as of October 2nd. Advancing south, Ukrainian units have pushed the front line forwards by up to 20 kilometers, primarily making gains along the east bank of the Inulets and west bank of the Dnipro, but not yet threatening the main Russian defensive positions, the update reads. The British intelligence suggests that Russian forces are mainly retreating from the region, given that Russia has already committed a majority of its severely undermanned airborne forces to the defense of Kherson already. Therefore, Russia currently has few additional, high-quality, rapidly deployable forces available to stabilize the front. It likely aims to deploy mobilized reservists to the sector, the update also reads. With no rapidly deployable forces readily available to resist Ukrainian advances, Russia could be set to lose yet more territory in Kherson until reservists arrive in southeastern Ukraine, and there is no certainty that reservists will have the weaponry and equipment necessary to regain that ground once it's lost. Meanwhile, more than 7 months into the war and the Ukrainian military is on the counteroffensive. Over the past few weeks, the Ukrainian forces have managed to liberate thousands of square miles of territory and destroy or capture large numbers of Russian forces. To sustain these offensive operations, the Ukrainian forces have been relying on Western weapon systems. Surprisingly, however, despite the billions that the Ukrainian military has received in security aid from the United States, United Kingdom, and the rest of NATO, the Russian military remains perhaps the biggest supplier of the Ukrainian military, but with a twist. Starting in September, the Ukrainian military has launched 2 highly successful counteroffensives in the east and the south. The result has been the liberation of hundreds of settlements and tens of thousands of people. But the Ukrainians have been gaining more than just land. At every turn of the Ukrainian counteroffensives, the Russian forces have retreated, abandoning hundreds of tanks, armored personnel carriers, infantry fighting vehicles, artillery pieces, and other weapon systems behind. Both the Russian and Ukrainian military use the same basic Soviet/Russian weapon systems. Much like the German Wehrmacht in the Second World War would feed some of its offensives with fuel captured at Allied logistical hubs, the Ukrainian forces are feeding their counteroffensives with main battle tanks and infantry fighting vehicles they capture from the Russians. Besides potential manpower losses, it doesn't matter if a Ukrainian unit loses 3 T-72 tanks during an assault against a Russian-held village if it captures 7 T-80 tanks after the battle. As a result, the Ukrainian military is now using a large amount of repurposed Russian weapon systems that have been captured on the battlefield. Repurposed captured Russian equipment now makes up a large proportion of Ukraine's military hardware. Ukraine has likely captured at least 440 Russian main battle tanks and around 650 other armored vehicles since the invasion. Over half of Ukraine's currently fielded tank fleet potentially consists of captured vehicles, the British military intelligence assessed in its latest estimate of the war. The Russian forces are abandoning weapon systems with alarming ease, a sign of a force that has largely lost its morale. A determined force with high morale would fight until its position became unattainable and then destroy everything before withdrawing. The failure of Russian crews to destroy intact equipment before withdrawing or surrendering highlights their poor state of training and low levels of battle discipline. With Russian formations under severe strain in several sectors and increasingly demoralized troops, Russia will likely continue to lose heavy weaponry, the British military intelligence added.